Hello and welcome to the In Focus series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja. Today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic from the perspective of GS Mains paper 2nd and 3rd, that is the Indo-Pak War of 1965. Now, this is going to be a brief summary of the entire war, but we are going to focus upon the Lahore offensive. What did Indian Army do to divert the attention of the Pakistani army from Akhnur, and the Battle of Asal Uttar, that literally means a befitting reply. So let us move on with our topics that we are going to cover under this. These are the many topics that we are going to cover. Of course, the news is with respect to the Lahore offensive, which happened on 6th of September 1965. All right, so let us move ahead and talk about a background about the background in brief with respect to Kashmir. Now, Kashmir actually came into the fold of Indian polity with the help of instrument of accession. As we all know, Kashmir was remaining an independent region until a referendum or a plebiscite could have been done. But because Pakistan was not happy with this, the narrative in Kashmir back then was hugely in favor of India. They sent Pakhtun tribes into Kashmir to occupy Kashmir. So what happened? Maharaja Hari Singh signed the instrument of accession with India in exchange of protection from the Pakistan offensive. So this is the entire background in summary. Apart from that, we have to understand that since then, Pakistan has been waging all sorts of war in Kashmir. So if we divide the phases pre-1971 to 1971, we see the first phase actually began with Indian-Pakistan War of 1947-48. It was done by a group of people, not a very full-fledged war. Jawaharlal Nehru called this informal war. Okay. Second phase, it was between early 1960s and mid 1960s. It was led by what was known as Master Cell, in which we saw the Indo-Pakistan War of 1965 to have a mass rebellion in Jammu and Kashmir. This was the basic policy or the strategy to incite mass rebellion in Kashmir so that Indian army gets weakened and emasculated and Pakistan army gets the hold of Kashmir. The third phase during the late 1960s to 1971, it was led by another group known as Al-Fatah that ended by the 1971 war's end. And apart from that, we still have many phases going on through cybercrime, through infiltration. All these are the different phases of informal war. Moving ahead, let us talk about the very important developments during the 1965 war. Let's first talk about the first offensive. By the name of Operation Desert Hawk, Pakistan went for an adventurism which made them extremely elated. How? The Run of Kutch. The Run of Kutch is basically 80 km wide and 515 km long stretch of land that borders Sindh in Pakistan and Gujarat in India. And this area was better defended from the Pakistani side. Okay. The border posts were taken care by the police. Now on 7th April 1965, Pakistan overran the two posts in the Indian border and they captured the Vigakot Fort. Okay, this is near the Run of Kutch. Remember Vigakot Fort and BR Bait as well. Okay, Vigakot Fort and BR Bait very close to each other. So this was captured by the Pakistani army. But then the British Prime Minister intervened and this offensive was ended on 1st July 1965. Not a lot could be done, but we saw that Pakistan, it was kind of a mock drill for them, and they succeeded. Moving ahead, let's talk about the other part of it, that is the second offensive. The second offensive was actually the incitement of mass rebellion in Jammu and Kashmir region by the name of Operation Gibraltar. And this failed spectacularly because the people not only did not want to participate in the mass rebellion but actively helped the Indian army. How did this happen? By infiltration. Pakistani army infiltrated many regions and the Indian army attacked the region of Kargil in Leh sector, Tangdhar in Titwal sector and Hajipir in Uri sector, so that the infiltrators can be pushed back. Okay, this is the second offensive. Now it continues by the help of Lahore offensive. We were able to check Pakistani infiltration. How? Now, Operation Grand Slam was launched by Pakistan in the Akhnur sector of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, Akhnur in Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan launched this attack in Akhnur, and in retaliation, what did the Indian Army do? Indian Army very cleverly, they started giving offensive against Lahore. Now, this is the, you can say, the direction of attack. They attacked Akhnur thinking that Indian Army will of course check the attack in Akhnur, but what did Indian Army do? They attacked Lahore. Now, why did they do so? We will talk about that as well. So that attack happened in the intervening night of September 5 and 6. Okay, Indian Army troops crossed the international border at several places in Punjab, and that caused Pakistani army, that actually caught the Pakistani army by surprise. Because of course, if you are going to attack any region, you will think that Indian Army will come here and attack it. But what happened? Indian Army went towards Lahore. Now, according to the Western Army Commander, Lieutenant General Harbaksh Singh, he said that he did it for three purposes. First, to force Pakistani army to deploy its forces in the Lahore region and not deploy more and more personnel in the Akhnur region. So that was a distraction. Second, capturing huge chunks of Pakistani territory for more bargaining power. If more and more territory could have been, taken care of by the Indian Army here, supposedly here, then they had a bargaining power and upper hand that you move back and you leave our land alone. Otherwise, we are going to stay here for a longer period of time. And to also stay at the Ichogil Canal. This Ichogil Canal was basically built to check the attack from the Indian Army so that Indian Army does not advance over here. But if Indian Army did advance, they wanted to have a hold of the Ichogil Canal so that offensive from Pakistan can be lessened. Apart from that, to pose a threat to the important Pakistani city of Lahore. If any important city is under attack, you will definitely take care of your city. And of course, that created a distraction and Indian Army won over here. Moving ahead, what happened? That the eventual attack down the Grand Trunk Road by the Indian Army's 15th Division, here, GT Road here, then it easily overwhelmed the border guarding forces at Wagha. So people at Wagha also, forces at Wagha were also overwhelmed by this attack. And then what happened? Elements of an infantry battalion, they reached here at the outskirts of Lahore. So at Lahore as well as the GT Road near Wagha, the offensive which was launched by the Indian Army caused a lot of overwhelm for the Pakistani army, and of course that made India successful for a period of time. But then initial success by the Indian forces in attacking in the area of 15th Infantry Division and 4th Mountain Division, these are the divisions of the army. What happened? That they were pretty elated, but the moment of attacking forces could not be maintained. Once you start anything, you have to maintain it as well. So that could not be done. Because of the poor leadership at the higher levels, many were removed from the command as well, command position, and that created a lull, or you can say a dull moment in the entire attacking scenario. What happened then? Taking the advantage of this lull, the Pakistanis, they launched an attack in the Khemkaran sector here. And because Khemkaran sector was attacked, what could India do? Now, India started an offensive. And this offensive was the Battle of Asal Uttar. That means a befitting reply on 8th and 10 September 1965, a few kilometers away from Khemkaran. Khemkaran is over here. Battle of Asal Uttar took place over here. The Battle of Asal Uttar is the world's biggest tank battle since World War II. Biggest. And why did Pakistani army falter over here? Because the swampy ground, they slowed the advance of the Pakistani tanks. The tanks could not move forward, and over 100 Pakistani tanks were destroyed and another 40 plus were captured, while Indians lost only 10. So we knew our strength and we knew our weaknesses back then. That is why strategy is very important, be it a war or be it your UPSC preparation. So because so many tanks of Pakistan were lost, a graveyard of tanks, a graveyard of the litter of tanks was given the name of Patto Nagar, okay, for a brief period of time. Patto Nagar. Okay, so if ever a question comes like this, you can answer this. Moving ahead. Now, what worked for India? First, the Pakistani government as well as the military never expected that in reply or in retaliation of the Akhnur sector, Indian army will start attacking Lahore. First that. The Pakistani army, because of that, was forced to rush reinforcements to Lahore, and they also diverted their aircraft, divert the Pakistani aircraft or air forces from Akhnur towards Lahore. So distraction has played a very important part. Apart from that, distraction, distracting the enemy and maneuvering the enemy and manipulating the enemy according to your own will is very important whenever we are talking about any strategy. So that worked for India. Moving ahead, let's talk about our prelims question. Operation Grand Slam and Operation Gibraltar are related to which of the following? Indo-Pakistan War, Sri Lankan refugee crisis, evacuation from Afghanistan, or Indo-China War? Answer this question. Thank you so much for watching.